Guys, Newcastle's Dan Ashworth identified as top target to be Man United's new sporting director. Stay there, don't leave the video. Let's see who this target is to be the new director and what will change at Man United. My name is Brandon. Welcome to the Manchester United News Channel. Let's go to the news.
Are planning to make a formal approach to Newcastle for sporting director Dan Ashworth. It is our understanding the Newcastle chief is top of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's list to front up his new football operation at Old Trafford. As of yet, no formal approach has been made. Newcastle would be reluctant to let Ashworth leave, but the 52-year-old is privately open to explore the potential opportunity to join Manchester United from Newcastle United, who are bracing themselves for this formal approach, but agreeing compensation to secure Ashworth's services. Of course, only joined Newcastle 2 years ago. That could be problematic. United would ideally want him in place this summer to oversee their transfer overhaul as Ineos take control over the football operation. Well, on set we have our chief reporter, Kaveh Solokol. What more can you tell us about this then?
Well, this is a story that's just been sent in to us in the last few minutes by our reporters Mark McAdam and Keith Downey. And of course, it is very significant because Jim Ratcliffe is not wasting any time at Manchester United. Yesterday, his deal to buy 25% of the club was approved by the Premier League. I think the deal is going to be completed in the next few days. And of course, he's going to get control of football operations. He's already brought in Dave Brailsford, who's conducting a review of the whole club. He's already appointed Omar Barada as a new chief executive who used to have a senior role at Manchester United. But the key role that fans want filled is this sporting director role, because it is no secret in football that Manchester United haven't been performing very well in the transfer market. And Dan Ashworth is somebody who has an absolutely brilliant record at West Bromwich Albion, at Brighton, and also at Newcastle United. And he's somebody who did exceptional work when he used to work at the Football Association as well, bringing through a whole new young England team, working very, very closely with people like Gareth Southgate. So he's got a reputation as being the best in the business as far as English football is concerned. And I think it would be a big coup if Manchester United were able to get him from Newcastle.
I mean, it really does signal a change in direction for United under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean, he has come in. He's made his mark very, very quickly. He has been very visible. He's spoken to supporters. He's spoken to the staff who work at the club. He's made a very good first impression. And normally you would think that somebody who's only got 25% of the shares is not going to have that much of a say. But the Glazers have basically put their hands up, I think, and said, ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left the club, on the pitch and also in the transfer market, we haven't got things right. So they've given control, basically, over to Jim Ratcliffe. Jim Ratcliffe, of course, works very closely with Dave Brailsford. I think both of them are still pretty close to Sir Alex Ferguson as well. So United making a lot of changes very, very quickly. And I think, I'm not sure if the two are connected, but his arrival seems to have had an impact on the team as well, because the performances have improved. They're unbeaten this year. The feel-good factor is back at the club, both on and off the pitch. I know, you know, sometimes when it comes to transfers, you can overstate how much one person is responsible for making those signings. So I don't know if you could say Dan Ashworth was responsible for signing Moses Caicedo at Brighton for £4.5 million. He was responsible for getting in Mitoma for £2.5 million, for bringing in McAllister for, I think, £5-6 million. At Newcastle, for instance, Bruno Guimaraes has come in. Isaac, Anthony Gordon. You know, they've made some really, really good signings. Now, I'm not saying that's all down to Dan Ashworth, but he has been the man in charge. He's been the sporting director. So you have to say, when you look at his CV, when you look at his track record and compare it to what has been a real hit and miss sort of recruitment operation at Manchester United recently, you would have to say this is a very positive move if it comes off.
If it comes off. So do you feel that this work that he started at Newcastle United, he'd want to see through and complete and stay where he looks comfortable right now. They are not going to want to lose him. Or do you think he's the type of person that would want the new challenge and could not turn down the lure of Manchester United?
I mean, that's a very good question. I think, you know, when Manchester United come calling, it is difficult to say no. We saw it with Omar Barada, who had a senior role at Manchester City. United wanted him as a chief executive. You know, some people were surprised that he would leave Manchester City, who are like the best of the best at the moment. But, you know, working for United, working with Jim Ratcliffe, building something new, it's a big project. I think it's something that would appeal to a lot of people. And I think for United fans, it would be important as well, because one of the problems when it comes to recruitment at United in recent times has been that the manager has had too much control. So a manager comes in, he's got his own ideas, he wants his own players, he's backed, he buys those players. It doesn't work out, he leaves, new manager comes in, he wants his own players. It's constant change of strategy when it comes to recruitment. What they really need, of course, is somebody like Dan Ashworth, a sporting director who oversees it all. And it doesn't matter who's the manager, who's the head coach. It's Dan Ashworth who calls the shots when it comes to running the football side of the operation. Obviously, as well, we've got to talk about John Murtough, who's the director of football at United at the moment. I don't know what it would mean for him if Dan Ashworth was to come in as well. But I think if Ashworth was to arrive at Old Trafford, it would be something that would excite United supporters, and I think it would be a very positive development. I've had some dealings with him, especially when he used to work at the Football Association. He's a very impressive character. He knows English football inside out, and I think he's also very plugged in to the best young English players. He had experience of that at the FA. So maybe we could see United buying the best young players in the future as well, best young English players as well, as players from abroad.
And just finally, quickly, so this news, United planning to make a formal approach to Newcastle for sporting director Dan Ashworth. They're not going to want this to be long, drawn out, played out in the media. They're going to want to get it done quickly. Is that how you envisage it?
I think they'd want to get it done quickly, but of course, he's got a contract with Newcastle. We saw a similar situation, I think, when he left Brighton to go to Newcastle. I think Manchester United actually were interested in appointing him then as well. But he went to Newcastle. And I think, if I'm right, he had to serve a period of notice at Brighton, so he was effectively on gardening leave. So I'm not sure whether Newcastle, if United make an approach and if Newcastle agree to let him go and he wants to go, I'm not sure they would let him go immediately. It would be more a case of, well, you know, look at your contract. You've got to give us 6 months' notice or 3 months' notice. I don't know what's in the contract, but I imagine Newcastle would hold him to what's in the contract, because Newcastle have to look after their own interests as well. That is the most important thing for them.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll know more as and when that unfolds, if United do make this formal approach. So, Kaveh, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel to not miss anything. Leave your like and your comment. That is very important for the channel growth. Until the next video.